Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to one of these tutorials that you guys asked in the comment and we just go on with it. So last episode we checked out something about this little timer here. We've made a timer, but then you guys asked about the animation, this animation. So today we're gonna keep working on the time chest we have from last episode, and we're gonna implement that actual animation in here. And we do have the finished product over here. Let me just show you. Now we do have the finished result over here. It's don't mind the error, that's for my Android SDK not being updated, but that's the same thing we had from last episode, but then on top of that we have the little animation rolling here. And it's really simple. If you had a nice background to this, if you just have like better looking icons, you can definitely make this look good, and it could actually fit well in your game, just like you saw like a minute ago on my other game, my real game. So guys, without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so let's keep going with the part 2 of the last video, the time chest video. And we're gonna keep going, do that little animation that we seen in the previous video. Let me just show you again, because I enjoy it quite a lot as well. And I'm doing this because you guys asked in the comment, and I'm really glad you did, because we're gonna be looking at how exactly we're gonna make this animation work. Alright, really something simple that we can actually add to our previous videos, the chests. So, I don't know if you guys remember, what he had here is a button that if you click on it, starts a cooldown, and then that cooldown persists through game session. Let's just click on it again, and then quickly leave, come back, and you're gonna see that timer still goes on, and it persists even though, like, if the game is closed, the timer still goes down. Now you're gonna be seeing a few errors down here due to my SDK not being updated. That's for my own project though, so sorry about that. It's not part of the it's not part of our code, and it's not a error that is blocking right now. So what we are going to do is just modify our canvas a little bit. We had this button here, and the button took care of doing pretty much everything. Now what we're going to do is just give another level to that. So we're going to create a new game object, a new panel, and this is going to be, say, the timed chess. And beneath that, we're going to put the button. Now the time chest doesn't have to be that big. Let's just go ahead and put it in the center, maybe 400 by 500. And well, let's go ahead and do 300 by 300. That sounds better. Then we're going to put the button just above it like this. Now the time chest also act as a panel, so this is going to be the background of our little roll animation. So let's go ahead and just find something that goes super good with the background. Maybe something of the sort. In my early, I can see, oh, over here. So something like that could be cool. Just a little round like that. Of course you have your own animation you can put on there. You have your own image you can put on there. I'll use this for mine. Now what I'm also going to do is add a mask to it. That means that whenever we add a mask to it, it's going to hide everything that is outside of that. Now my image has a little bit of alpha, as you can tell, on the sides here. If I take my button and just drag it in here, as you can tell, the alpha does matter in this case. And now, as you realize, we can't really have the button in here, so we're going to take it out one step, so right here. That sounds good. Now, the mask is going to be really useful, because as we roll our thing, we don't want to be seeing all the other objects going in empty space here. Okay, well, enough talking. Let's just go ahead and keep doing it. The time chest is over here. We are going to right click on it, create a new panel, and the panel is going to be the roll container. Now you're going to be seeing what this is in a moment. I'll just remove the image. I don't want to have any image on it. I just want it to be a container, so really it doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't even have to have a canvas renderer. So just an empty object that acts as a container. Inside of it, I will right click, add a new image, and we're going to start just putting our loots in there. So what is the first loot we could have? I'm going to be really original and just give out gold. So I have some gold here. Of course, I'm only displaying this as an image. Could be displaying this as any other kind, like only text or only image, or I'm going to do both right now. So we've got this image. Let's go ahead and say that this is going to be 10 gold. So I'll just name this gold 10. And beneath it, just to add a little bit more to that, I'll create a text, center it, and just say 10 gold. And maybe even increase the size a little bit, so 10 gold, just like that. So that's only one object, as you can tell. That is one object that is below our role container, that is below our time chest, and our button is just lying around here. So that one object is a hole. We can go ahead and just duplicate that if you plan on using more gold. And just for the sake of like creating our little roles here, I'm going to disable the mask that we have on the time chest. And we can just keep going and say we're going to have gold 10. We're also going to have gold 20 and gold 30. Let's change the text inside of it as well. And now what I'm going to do is actually duplicate all of these and just move them anywhere else. Now this way I have 2 shots at getting 10 gold, I have 2 shots at getting 20 gold, and I have 2 shots at getting 30 gold. We can also create one that doesn't give anything, just to change a little, the taste of it a little bit. So I'm just going to name this nothing. And this is really important. I didn't mention it before, but this is really important because we're going to be using the name of the game object to actually define which reward we've got. We should be naming this appropriately. So gold 10, just like that, matches this one, and nothing. It's like clear string that we can test against to know which object we've got. And now this one, since it's nothing, let's go ahead and just put a big X on it. There we go. So that's all we really need. So we've got like roles like that. You could be creating a lot more. The code we're going to be writing doesn't care how many roles you have. So you can be creating 100, you can be creating 5, it doesn't really matter. What I'm going to do with these is I'm just going to place them somewhere else. So say right here, outside of the mask. That is really important. You just put it outside of the mask. And now the next thing I will be doing is we are going to just go ahead and re-enable the mask and start coding a little bit. So there's multiple ways to go about it. What I'm going to do is take the script we've had in the last episode and actually just keep writing onto it. So we keep that whole big standalone code all together. So back to our chess script. If you guys have not watched the last episode, I invite you to watch it. It's probably in the right hand side of the video right here. I'm definitely just pointing in real life, you can't see it anyway. It's called Time Chess and we just wrote this script, or if you want to quickly type it, now's the moment. And here we go. Well, we are going to keep writing onto it, and the first thing we're going to need in this case is we're going to need to keep track of all the little transform we have beneath our role container. Well, first we need to have an instance, not an instance, a reference to that role container, so that object right now that I'm highlighting. We need to have a reference towards that. So we are going to go ahead and just declare a public. I'll make it public because else, if we don't make it public, then we're going to have to say role container is equal to transform.parent to go back to canvas, and then get child and the index 1, and then get child again. That's just a mess. So let's just put it public. So public transform role container. Now this way we can go on our button, which is the container of chess, and we can just drag and drop our role container in here. Really important part. Okay, once we have that role container, we're going to fill an array of transform. This one is going to be private though, so private transform array that we'll call roles. And now let's just go ahead and just fill that array. The first thing we'll need to do is roles is actually declared array, so roles is equal to a new transform array of size roles dot child count. And I can't seem to get child counts. Why? Oh wait, role container, my bad. Dot child count. And just below that we are going to actually fill that array. So we declare that array. Now we're going to put values inside of it, and the values you want to put inside of it is every little transform beneath the role container transform. So for I is equal to 0, as long as I is smaller than role container, if I can type it, dot child count, then I plus plus. And then roles at the index I is equal to role container get child at I. And we have a fresh array filled with all the little objects inside of the role container. Isn't that wonderful? Let's keep going, guys. the next step we're going to need to take is actually do an action when we click on our chest. So we have the function that is called chest click. Now, what I'd like to do when we click on that chest is just reorder these guys a little bit, and then just place them in a straight line starting from this point and then just going towards the right. This way we can simply scroll it a little bit later on. Now I have a really awful way of doing it, and there's probably a better way, but just bear with me. I'm going to type this in as fast as I can. We're going to start by declaring a offset. So let's do a float offset is equal to 0f. And then we're going to declare a list of int. And guys, if you can't get the list, that's because you don't have the using system.collection.generic up there. Now a little trick, just a little side note like that. If it's actually saying that right here, the list does not exist in that context, it's because you don't have the using.system.collection.generic. But what you can do is double click on this, highlight the list, hit Control and the dot sign if you're in Visual Studio, and then it's going to recommend you, do you want to actually add those guys in? And we're going to add collection.generics. Let's keep going. So we're going to call this indexes and a new list of int. Now, like I said, this is not the best and optimal code, but we're just going to go for it. So for int I is equal to 0, as long as I is smaller than roll container.child count, or wait, never mind, smaller than roles.length, even better. We're going to say indexes.add an I. And I will do the next part before I explain it. Let's do for int I is equal to 0, as long as I is smaller than roles.length. We're just reiterating through the same array again. And this time we do something a little bit different. We say index is equal to indexes. And then we get a random index. So let's do random.range, or let's do Unity engine random.range 0 and indexes dot count, something like that. Indexes remove, and we're removing index, and then we finally place the object, and I'll just get back to all of that code in a moment, but just bear with me for now. The transform.local position vector3.right times offset. Okay, and then we do offset times equal a certain amount. That is going to be, not times equal, plus equal, say 300. Okay, so let's talk about this code, which is right over here. What we do is we create a new list of index, and the list of index is pretty much the same exact thing as our array, but the list of index only contains like the int index towards that array. Now the reason I want to add it to a list and not just use normal like iteration through the transform index array is because I want to be able to use the remove. And now what's really cool about lists is if we actually remove from a list, the list is going to reorder himself. And if you do that with a regular array, so if we were just to take out a transform out of the role index, we'd just leave a blank there, and if we try to access that address, it's not gonna work and it's just going to break. Now with a list, if we do a remove from the list, the next index is actually going to take its place, and then the actual list is going to be shrinked by 1. So it's going to remove and then replace that with the rest of the array, which is super cool, and that's what I'm doing here. So we do an int index, we get a random index in our array of index, the one that are left, and then afterward we just remove it to make sure that we never pick it again. We remove it, and then once we have like that random index from our role array, we position it, and then we position it at vector right times offset. Offset is always being incremented by 300 every time we reiterate through that. So we're going to pick all our objects randomly and position them 300 from each other. What we should actually do is put that somewhere in a float, constant float. And I think I can actually just hit Control and N, Control and dot, and create a const here. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's do private const float roll offset, something like that. So offset is plus equal to roll offset. Alright, so let's go ahead and just give this a try. It's not going to work 100%, but at least we are definitely going to try it out. So we click here, and it reposition all our object. And as you can tell right here, they're all positioned 300 apart and they're all nicely lined up. If we just remove our mask, you're going to be able to tell. And they're in a random order too. So 30 gold, 20 gold, nothing, 10, 20, 30, 10. We try again. And they are now nothing, 30, 10, 10, 20, 30, 20. So they're really just being in a different order every time, and that's pretty cool. That's what we need here. Now what I'm going to do is actually declare a private bool up here. So is rolling, and we're gonna go in the chest click over here just above the offset. Let's do is rolling is equal to through. And now in the update, we don't want to be doing anything in over here because that's our old code. That's fine. It's working on its own. We don't really need to touch it. But beneath that, if we're currently rolling, so if is rolling, we are going to be doing some action here. And what we really want to do here is fairly simple. We need the endpoint. So vector3 endpoint, or let's just call it end. And it's going to equal minus vector3.right times the offset. So roll offset in our case times rolls.length minus 1. And you will see what this is in a moment because we want to leave a open space at the beginning. Pretty much just spoiled what I'm going to do a little bit later on, but you're gonna be able to tell. Okay, so we got our end position. Let's do roll container dot transform local position, and this is what we move. So we're gonna move that using a offset, not an offset, sorry, a lerp. So vector3.lerp, vector3.right times the offset. That's the first vector, and then the second one is going to be end because that's where we want to be in the end. And finally, we need the float. And the float is going to be the transition float, the one we keep having in pretty much every lerp we make on this channel. Right now, this float does not exist just yet, so we're going to go ahead and just declare it at the very top. Private float transition. And for this to work, we need to actually increment transition over time, which is what we're going to do just beneath it. So transition is plus equal to time, the delta time, divided by the amount of time you want the animation to be playing. So if you want your animation to be playing 5 seconds, you're going to type in 5 here. I'm going to settle for 3. 3 sounds like a really good time. Okay, so if transition now goes beyond 1, that means the transition is over. We can say is rolling is equal to false. Oops. And we can give the user his reward. Good times. Alright, so let's try this out in the game, see if we make any progress. I'm going to click on the play button, and let's check this out. Doesn't look too bad. Let's actually remove the mask so we can tell what's going on. We press on play, and pretty much nothing happens because we never really reset our transition float. Let's go ahead and just do that really quickly. So chest click, transition is equal to 0. Normally you don't really need this if you have like a 12-hour or plus cooldown, but in this case we'll just add it. Okay, removing the mask, and let's just play again. It makes sense. We're starting with the offset, and the object, like the first object is over here. That's cool, and we just get to see it slowly. Alright, now what we need to do at this point is keep track of which object is the last one, because technically the last one is going to be the one that you roll. The very last object is the one that is ending in your side here, so that's the one you're winning, technically. To do that, we are going to test it using the name, and I'll just keep this name as a global field up here. So let's do a private string, gift name. And what I'm going to do is simply place it in the chest click function. So on chest click, we do an iteration over here, just going over every single objects we have. At the very end, we're going to say How could we write that? We need to get the name. So let's do roles. Actually, let's do gift name is equal to roles at the index dot name. And that's really all we need at this point. Once we're ready to give the gift, which is right here, we can do a switch on that name. So why not do it right away? Let's do a switch, and we're gonna do gift name. If it's if the case is, let's do gold 10. So gold 10. Make sure you write it the same exact way as the name of your game object is. So if the name is gold 10, then we go ahead and we just reward the player with 10 gold. Now, I don't know where your gold is in your game. Mine is like really hidden somewhere in like a really deep class. So we'll use debug.log for now. You've been rewarded with 10 golds. And we break, of course. Case, I'm just going to copy that. So case, gold 20, gold 30. We're going to change the text. And finally, case nothing. You didn't win anything. Let's also put a default on that, so in case it doesn't find any of those cases, then it's also going to take the nothing situation. Alright, let's go back in the game, test this out once more before we add our little touch that makes it look very nice. So we go here, we click on that, and the last object, we should win it. So you've been rewarded with 20 gold. Let's try that again. You've been rewarded with 10 golds. That's pretty good. And we can keep going on and on and on forever. As you can tell, it's always really just working because it's matching with the name. So this one is 10 gold, we win 10 golds. And what I'd like to do now to make this look good, because right now it's a little bit, it's a little bit too soft, too slow kind of. What we're going to do is just add one more good thing to it. It's a public, and you're gonna enjoy this. I'm having quite a lot of fun with that. It's a public animation curve, and we're just going to call it roll curve or something like that. Doesn't really matter. Now what we're going to do is take that roll curve and go just down at the transition float, which is for me on line 64. But this is the lerp we're doing. We're gonna do roll curve dot evaluate at transition. Now this way our speed just totally changed in one go. We can't really see it right now. I don't think it actually works if we just do a play right now. I'm not sure. Yeah, it doesn't do anything, and let me show you why. If we go back on our button, which is where our chess script is, we now have this roll curve component, not component, sorry, field. I keep messing up my words. But basically we have a nice curve here. If we double click on the linear one, it's gonna play in a linear manner, as you can tell. That's the boring one. That's the one we just came out from. And if we take, say, this one, it's gonna start really slowly, then go super fast. Which is already a little bit better. But we're gonna be playing with the curve a little bit more. I'm going to just expand that so we see it a little bit better. And what I'm going to do is just take these curves and align them in such a manner that it's always going to start really slowly, and then in the middle it's going to be at the fastest time. So maybe something like that, and we can just play that. And it starts slow, and then it goes fast, and it ends slow. What really matters in this case, to get that nice rolling effect, is just really that your ending is really super slow. So the beginning could be fast. It could be something like that. This could also look very good. Let's give it a look. As long as it's really slowing down when you're arriving, that's where it looks good. So guys, thanks a lot for watching, and like I said, this video was made because you guys asked it in the comments, so please just keep asking stuff. I'll try to reply to as much as I can. Now there's a lot of stuff I can't do because, you know, I can't create a whole RPG in a single episode, but you know, just keep asking stuff. It gives me something to do on my time off, and I'm just really enjoying this. So guys, again, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, leave a comment if you have something to ask, And also check out the Patreon page. It does support me and does help me do that more and more. I just invest more time in it. So yeah, please subscribe to the channel and I'll catch you guys later.